Hi, I'm Daz. I'm the producer of The Drift, and we are approaching, hopefully, our last visual effects marathon in the next couple of weeks or so. Guys have been working really, really hard, as always, and the light at the end of the tunnel is becoming ever brighter. So, good news on the Drift front. The reason why I'm doing a diary today, though, is more about some of the things that are happening on the internet in my small community, something that I've been exposed to a few times, and something that's kind of fundamental to the success not only of The Drift, but the last sort of 20 years that I've been involved in making films. And that is the use of volunteers and the issue of not paying people. And the reason why it's coming up now, because it has come up in the past, is that there's a couple of things that have happened in my little world that I've been exposed to. One is a guy who's now working in the industry has been giving advice. I've been asked to give advice, as we all have been asked to give advice, and one of the things he's come up with is never work for free, you don't need to. And I kind of take a little bit of an exception to that, but not to say that what he is saying is not true, because there's a lot of validity in what he's talking about, and one of the reasons why there's such validity is also the issue of work experience and interns and the exploitation that takes place, and not only in our industry but all over the place. There's a great analogy that an artist who I know said he went into a car showroom, and the car showroom dealer guy said to him, "Look, hey, I love your pictures. Why don't you draw some pictures of our cars? And if anybody wants to know who did them, I'll send them to you." And he said, "I've got a better idea. Why don't you give me one of your cars, and when I'm driving around and someone asks me who got it, I'll send them to you." That kind of illustrates the point, not to put a pun on it, insofar as that it's very easy to say, "Oh, you do me a favour and I'll do you a favour," and there's clearly only going to be really one winner. And I think what's important is that you, as a someone going into the industry, or someone who already is in the industry and wants to move on, has to analyse that effectively. The industry is so massive, the media industry, from news, documentary, to features, to animation, to shorts, to TV soap operas, to TV drama, and you know, there's so much. And I think what's important is that you have to decide what it is you want to do. Now, I've been told, and I'm not an expert on this, is that the easiest of those industries to get into is TV, and that's because it's so massive, because there's so much content to be provided, and the increasing number of independent companies, etc., etc., that there are more avenues to get involved with it. You could even create your own content, frankly, and almost get it on there yourself if you're good enough. So that is a kind of sort of meat factory element of it. That's not to say that television isn't quality, because there's some outstanding programmes on television. Absolutely, I watch TV like everybody else, or watch it on YouTube or whatever, Netflix. So there is value there. However, there's a lot of content to make. Features, for example, not so much. Higher risk, more money involved, and generally less people. So it's going to be more difficult. And this is where I think you have to, as a media industrialist yourself, as a creative, is to decide, well, what is it you want to do? And I'll give you an example. Now, if Steven Spielberg rang me today, or put something on Twitter and said the first person to email me will be on the next the movie I'm making as a runner, but unpaid, I would jump at the chance. Of course I would. Now, why am I jumping at the chance? Because the difference there is that I'd be working for a legend. It would be a great experience for me, regardless of the work element. To simply and flatly say, well, no, I'm not doing it unless you're not paying me, would be a little bit foolish. Now, at the same time, if the only way is Lincoln came up and said, we need some runners to help us with this, great idea, great for your show reel, etc., or great for your CV. If it's not something that I really want to do, then I may not. But there might be other people out there who love that type of stuff. Scripted reality could be their thing. They might have a great idea for their own scripted reality program, and what an opportunity it would be. So I think to say that just don't work for free is a very difficult and potentially incorrect thing to say in isolation. I also understand that a majority of people who are doing this are doing it to earn money. They're doing it as a job, ideally doing something that they like doing, something that they're good at doing. And I get that too. And I think that's, again, where you have to balance what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go. I think people go through university or learn from the grassroots. I mean, I learned from the backyard, just made my own movies back in the 90s and kept going and tried to get better, do a little bit more, managed to sort of focus on what I wanted to do, which is features. And I'm still heading there. I'm not in terms of financially, I'm not being paid to make this film. I'm hoping that things will come, but I'm enjoying the ride as well, and I believe in what I do, and I enjoy what I'm doing. But I had to have another job as well. I spent 20 years in the Air Force at the same time I was making these films. I had to do both because my filming wasn't paying, but it was a passion for me. And I think that's what people need to think about, is it your passion, or is it something you're just pretty good at and something you want to do? And there's no stigma with either of those things. There are many people who just want to do a job and they go to work and do what they do, and they come home and do something completely different, whether it's abseiling, hill walking, or watching TV, or whatever it is, going on holidays, travelling, and that's good too. So I think that's it really. I'm not going to go on much more about it, except to say that, think about whether it's worth working for. You need to decide whether or not it's worth working for free. What are you going to get out of it? If you think that working for a particular company or group is worth doing for yourself, then go for it. But if you keep finding yourself doing the same jobs, perhaps with the same same types of company, or the same company, and you're never getting paid and everybody else is, then yeah, you need to be asking yourself some questions. But we here, at Backyard Productions, we haven't paid anybody. I don't get paid, and we've been doing it for 20 years. So it's not a way of making a living, but it's a way of making, pretty cool movies.